dark of the night, whispers of deceit.
Shadows stand on the wall.
Secrets they repeat. A shadowed figure.
Shadowy figure
with eyes full of hiding
lies.
truths in the shadows where no one dares to pry.
Dares to go.
Uncover the truth.
Uncover the truth.
Let the lies come undone. Peel back the layers until the light is shown. Uncover the truth, let the shadows run. Break free from the chains and find the sun. Uncover the truth in the dead of the night, where secrets lie hidden like a whispered bite. Uncover the truth in the dim of the light, where betrayals take root in the heart of the fight. In the rain-soaked streets, under the moon's pale light, a crime unfolds with a twisted, sinister might. A knife in the dark, a scream that rings clear. Betrayal's cold hand in the heart of the deer. Through the fog and the mist, the truth we must see. In the shadows we find the answers we need. Uncover the truth.
All right.
Yes, here we are for Bloodlines and Betrayal. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. And with me, as always, he's saying yes to greatness, and he is dominating 10U football as head coach, Coach Schuman.
Please refrain from saying that from now on. It annoys me.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I don't want to annoy you. I won't say it again. So we barely, we just saw each other, I believe, less than 12 hours ago. But this is great. We have a fantastic show, great case to go over, and I am thoroughly excited about it because it is the murder of John Lennon, a legend of the Beatles. And, it was just an incredible tragedy. And it happened, the Beatles were broken up at the time. They were on and off, but they had run their course and they weren't as young and they wanted to go their separate ways. And so many people ended up blaming Yoko Ono and all this, but in reality, it wasn't true. It ended up being just basically a crazy guy that lost his marbles and did away with it. So that is what we are going to discuss. Now, the Beatles obviously were before our time, I would say. You and myself. Were you a Beatles fan at all growing up?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I wasn't either. Absolutely not.
Terrible.
No, I wasn't either.
I never understood it.
I didn't either. And I know that I'm homosexual and all that, so I didn't think any of them stood out as being heartthrobs, but that's apparently what they were.
Back then, I guess they were, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, when they got up, Beatlemania, that's where it all started. That's where Hulkamania started. But obviously, John Lennon was beyond creative. He had beautiful vocals, and he was successful on his own when he did become a solo artist. And, everyone blames the downfall, like I said, on Yoko Ono. But it was bigger than that. The actual murder of John Lennon is a really insane story if you're not familiar with it. The perpetrator, I believe he was actually released from prison. It was either him or was it was Reagan's shooter. I can't. Yeah, I think he was released eventually, just recently, but it could be wrong. So the murder was Mark David Chapman. Mark David Chapman, and just the story of how it happened was beyond comprehension, if you recall. It was before our times. I just know that it shook the United States to its core, and the way it happened was unbelievable because, Lennon lived in New York City at the time, and he was very friendly with his fans. He would come out of his apartment and, he'd have his kids and Yoko Ono. And whenever he'd be out, he would chat with fans. He would sign with fans. He had a very good relationship with them. And this whole thing with Mark David Chapman seemed odd. And it started, Chapman was raised in a very, very strict environment. His father was a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force. His mother was a nurse. His younger sister was 7 years younger than him. And the biggest thing was Chapman. I mean, a lot of kids were like this, but Chapman truly lived in fear of his father. And his father was allegedly physically abusive towards his mother, physically abusive towards him. And when he was interviewed by psychologists, Chapman basically said he fantasized about having godlike power over imaginary little people who lived in the walls of his bedroom. So clearly he had a screw loose at a bit of a young age. The other thing that's interesting is he grew up in Decatur, Georgia. So he wasn't from up north at all. And it comes down to, again, he was relentlessly targeted by bullies. He was bullied and bullied and bullied due to his weight, due to the way he looked, due to his lack of athleticism. And he despised going to school. And by the time he was 14, Chapman was using drugs religiously and skipping classes. He ran away. At one point, he ran away and lived on the streets of Miami for 2 weeks when he was like 15. So he had a lot of issues, but I mean, it's hard because I know that your father was strict. My mother was strict. My father babied me, but my mother was strict. I was terrified of my mother. But I mean, do you believe that having a overly strict parent can really turn you into something diabolical like this?
There's a lot of people that have strict parents that don't become diabolical.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't blame that. I know that's what he tried to do.
They always blame their parents, but listen.
Yeah, they do.
The line there are certain parents like there could be not that aren't good for you that make it difficult for you. But
right.
It's all how you interpret things and how your mind handles things, and
and the physical abuse I get.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, I got the belt when I was a kid. I mean, it was just a part of growing up. I mean, you were disciplined, and I think if more people got the belt, then there'd be a lot less people in jail. I mean, it taught you right from wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew. So it was in I think 1971. He began. I didn't even know this was a thing. I was wondering if you heard of it. That's why I wanted to ask. A born again Presbyterian. Have you heard of that?
No.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either. A born again Presbyterian. And that's when he got into really reading. And he worked as a camp counselor at a YMCA camp in Georgia. And this is where he started to get some confidence. He became very, very popular with the younger children at camp. They nicknamed him Nemo after the person from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He was promoted to assistant director of this camp after winning the award for outstanding counselor. And people said he was an outstanding worker who cared about the children. The other turning point became when, I believe it was 1973, he read Catcher in the Rye for the first time. The Catcher in the Rye, this novel took it took on great personal significance to him. To the extent he reportedly wished that he could model his life after the main character, Holden Caulfield, after graduating high school. Chapman moved to Chicago for a time. He played guitar in churches and Christian night spots, and he did impersonations. He worked successfully for World Vision with Vietnamese refugees at a resettlement camp.
Right.
And he spent time in the Middle East. He worked as a area coordinator and aide to program director David Moore, who was, he was testified and interviewed that Chapman cared deeply for children and worked hard. And he met with government officials. He tried to get more aid. He had a lot of passions once he became this born-again Presbyterian. He became a student at Covenant College, which is a Presbyterian liberal arts colleges in Lookout Mountain, Georgia. But unfortunately, I don't know if he was overly intelligent. He fell behind in his studies, and he really felt guilty about it. He had suicidal thoughts, felt like a failure, dropped out of college after one semester. His girlfriend broke up with him, and Chapman returned to the settlement camp where he was working with the YMCA. But he left after an argument with the supervisor. And this is just strange to me because he just seems kind of like directionless. He spent all his money impulsively moving to Hawaii, where he basically moved there to attempt suicide. He attempted suicide by carbon monoxide asphyxiation, which is where you put the hose in the exhaust pipe of your car and park it in the driveway and close the garage. But the hose ended up melting and the attempt failed. A psychiatrist admitted Chapman to Castle Memorial Hospital for clinical depression. And then upon his release, he worked at the hospital as a maintenance worker. Then his parents got divorced, and his mom came to Hawaii to live with him. So I don't even know how this is possible. But in 1978, Chapman went on a 6-week trip around the world. The vacation was inspired by the film and novel Around the World in 80 Days, using his YMCA connections, because back then, I don't know if you remember, but the YMCA actually had rooms that you could stay in.
Yeah.
Nightly, yeah. So Chapman went to Tokyo, Seoul, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bangkok, New Delhi. He was all over the place. And then he concluded with a brief visit to Atlanta to visit his family. He began a romantic relationship with his travel agent, and so on and so forth. He got a job working, as I talked about at Castle Memorial, but he resigned again after an argument with a nurse. From there, Chapman worked as a security guard at an apartment complex and began drinking excessively. So as his psychological state worsened, this is what's odd. Chapman, again, he loved The Catcher in a Rye, and now he started to develop a series of obsessions, including art. And he became obsessed with John Lennon. In September of 1980, he wrote a letter to a friend of his, and he stated, "I'm going nuts." And he signed the letter, "The Catcher in the Rye." And he also said, "I'm planning a trip to go to New York City to kill John Lennon." So, I mean, he actually said this. He actually said this in a letter to a friend. So John Lennon was also in a moment of flux. He got married to Yoko Ono. Yep. He took a 5-year hiatus from the music industry. It was from 75 to 80, and 80 was when he got killed. He basically said that he was burnt out. He, quote unquote, said he baked his bread and it was time now to look after his baby. He devoted himself to Sean. Sean is his son, who's still alive to this day. And he just loved being a father. He loved spending time with him. And that was really why he kind of, ducked out of the music industry. They were so loved and so busy when they came to the US. They were mobbed. They put out album after album, the Beatles, and they had so much success. I could completely see why he burnt out. They produced, I believe, I'm trying to look here, a series. It was when they got here. It was 1956, from 1956 to 66. This is when they were just on fire. They were recording album after album. They were on tour, performing night after night, city after city. And he just got burnt out. I mean, he said that it's a lifestyle that back then, especially, flying was different. You're going all over the place. It's not the same production that is now with, the pyro and the show. It's just them singing. So it was a lot. And they achieved success that had never been achieved before in the United States. And this is already when they were stars in England, London, whatever. So after this 10-year period, they broke up in 1966, and he did solo work from 66 to 70. He had a ton of success. However, he did admit he used quite a bit of LSD. Yeah, he was big into LSD. Yeah, that's the one drug I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to drop acid. I've heard it's a good time. But that's how he wrote Strawberry Fields Forever when he was high on acid. He wrote All You Need Is Love, Our World, and Imagine when he was whacked on LSD.
All the people
He wrote it.
Living for today.
So this is why people despise Yoko Ono. In 1968, Lennon's drug use significantly increased.
You're a dreamer.
I do love that song.
That is a great song.
I like that song and Hey Jude. But
That's
Hey
a
Jude
good
isn't
song.
his.
There's a couple that are good.
Hey Jude isn't his. But
Hey Jude.
Don't be afraid. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let us. I can't remember the word. But again, his drug use, his LSD use, significantly increased with when he married Yoko Ono. So that's why people were not necessarily a fan of him. And then he became an activist when he stopped, he took a hiatus from music in 1970. He was a very big activist, I believe, during the Vietnam War. He tried to stay non-committal, but he just, again, was one of those who felt that we were where we didn't belong. And I don't think he intentionally caused it, but because of his political views, our veterans, took took a beating because of it. And how about this? I didn't even know this. So they opened an FBI file on him. And in 1971, the FBI labeled Yoko Ono and Lennon radical left politics. And Nixon took what was called a strategic countermeasure against Lennon's anti-war and anti-Nixon propaganda, and they tried for 4 years to deport him. He was an elite. Yes, he was embroiled in a legal battle with immigration authorities, and he was denied permanent residency in the United States. The issue did not become resolved until 1976. So from 1970 to 76, he was embroiled with, the FBI. He was labeled a radical leftist. And for 4 years, Nixon wanted him deported. So sometime in New York City was recorded as a collaboration with Yoko Ono. It was released in 1972. It contains songs about women's rights, race relations, and it was a huge, huge failure. It was panned by critics. That was a big mistake on his part. Yeah. And Lennon and Yoko Ono gave 2 concerts because of it. So, I mean, he was really going through some personal struggles as well. He was living in New York City. So this is what happened. Mark David Chapman, he planned to kill John Lennon 3 months prior to the murder. And Chapman was actually Chapman was a former big fan of the Beatles. He
was really?
Yes, that's why I said I wanted to go over this. This is crazy. Chapman turned against Lennon due to a religious conversation. His religious conversion, and Lennon's highly publicized 1966 remark about the Beatles being more popular than Jesus. Lennon said this. And, Chapman becoming a devout Presbyterian, he was apparently offended by this. And members of Chapman's prayer group made a joke in reference to Lennon's song, Imagine. It went, imagine if John Lennon was dead. And one of Chapman's childhood friends recalled Chapman said that the song was communist. So Imagine, Chapman felt was communist. Chapman also was influenced by, I don't know this person, but Anthony Fawcett's. he wrote John Lennon, One Day at a Time. It detailed Lennon's lavish lifestyle in New York City. And basically, he was angry that Lennon would preach love and peace, but he had millions of dollars. Chapman later said, he told us to imagine no possessions. And there he was with millions of dollars, yachts, farms, country estates, laughing at people like me who had believed the lies and bought his records and built my life around his music. That is what fueled his anger. And he also recalled to have listened to Lennon's solo albums in the weeks before his murder. And he told this to his psychiatrist. I would listen to his music, and I would get angry at him for saying that he didn't believe in God, that he just believed in him and Yoko, and he didn't believe in the Beatles. This was another thing that angered me, even though the record had been done at least 10 years previously. I just wanted to scream out loud, who the fuck does he think he is? Saying those things about God and heaven and the Beatles, saying he doesn't believe in Jesus and things like that. At that point, my mind was going through a total blackness of anger and rage. I was drinking heavily. I didn't care. So I brought the Lennon book home into this, The Catcher in the Rye.
I've never read The Catcher in the Rye.
I never read it either, actually.
Damn.
It was actually, it was banned from many schools. Many schools banned it. I don't know why. I have to look it up. I don't know why. His mindset is Holden Caulfield, who wrote Catcher in the Rye, and anti-phoniness, because he felt Lennon was a phony. So Chapman, Chapman's planning
has been all celebrities.
Yeah, it's true. The planning Chapman went into has been described as muddled. Over the years, he has both supported and denied whether he felt justified by his spiritual beliefs at the time or had the intention of acquiring notoriety, because he did want that notoriety. He wanted to be famous or infamous. The only time he made a public statement before sentencing and several years afterward was during a brief psychotic episode in which he was convinced that the meaning of his actions was to promote The Catcher of the Rye. And he mailed a letter to the New York Times asking the public to read the novel. So this dude had a love affair and a complete obsession with The Catcher in the Rye. It's like his Bible. And he wrote a letter to the New York Times while he was in prison asking the public to read it. So there was one journalist, James J. Gaines, who interviewed Chapman extensively. He concluded that Chapman did not kill Lennon to gain fame and notoriety. According to Chapman, in a parole hearing, he had a list of other potential targets in mind, including Lennon's bandmate Paul McCartney, Johnny Carson, Elizabeth Taylor, actor George C. Scott, and how about this one? Former First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis.
That's crazy.
And then he wanted to kill Ronald Reagan and Hawaii Governor George Irush. In 2010, Chapman said that the only criterion for his list was being famous, and he chose Lennon out of convenience, and he cited feelings of envy. And this is all. How about this one too? Chapman went to Woodstock. He went to Woodstock on one of his visits to target a musician, Todd Rundgren. He was also obsessed with him, and he wanted to go after him. So this dude was nuts, like crazy. And then on the day of the murder, singer David Bowie was appearing in Broadway in the Broadway play The Elephant Man, and he was second on the list. Chapman had a front row ticket to The Elephant Man the next night. So had he gotten away with the John Lennon murder, David Bowie was going to be next. And that's crazy. So this is what happened. From October through December, Chapman went to New York City, and he intended to kill Lennon, but he left to obtain ammunition from his unwitting friend Dana Reeves in Atlanta before returning in November. While in New York, he was inspired by the film Ordinary People to stop his plans. Then he went back to Hawaii to tell he told his wife Gloria that he was obsessed with killing Lennon.
Crazy.
He showed her the guns and bullets. Can you believe that?
What was his did he have a political affiliation?
No, it wasn't really. It was religious. It wasn't really political.
Well, okay.
He was
ideological almost, and a little bit ideological, right?
Yes, but he was pissed off that Lennon said the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. He was pissed off at the song Imagine, saying Imagine no possessions, this and that. And he's like, well, Lennon's got all this, this lavish lifestyle. He's got yachts. He's got money. He's a hypocrite for saying Imagine. Imagine no possessions. All the guy's got is possessions. So on December 7th, Chapman accosted singer James Taylor.
He did?
Yes.
Wow.
At the 72nd Street subway station. And according to Taylor, the guy had sort of pinned this man to a wall, and was glistening maniacal sweat and talking some freak speech about what he was going to do and the stuff with John. And was interested. He just wanted to get in touch with John Lennon. And he reportedly offered cocaine to a taxi driver to find out where Lennon lived.
That's great.
And he talked to his wife about getting help with his problems and working on his relationship with God. So on the morning of December 8th, Chapman left his hotel room at the Sheraton. He left items there specifically because he wanted police to find them. He bought a brand new Catcher in the Rye. I got to read the Catcher in the Rye now after this. Which he wrote in the Catcher of the Rye, "This is my statement," and signing it Holden Caulfield. And he was able to find out where Lennon lived. He then spent most of the day near the entrance of the Dakota apartment building where Lennon lived. He was talking to fans. He was talking to the doorman. Early in the morning, Chapman was distracted and he missed Lennon, who left, and he got into a taxi, and he was pissed off about that. Later in the morning, he met Lennon's housekeeper, who was returning from a walk with Lennon's 5-year-old son, Sean. Chapman reached in front of the housekeeper, and he shook Sean's hand. And he called him a beautiful boy. And he quoted Lennon's song, "Beautiful boy, my darling boy."
That's
So
crazy, dude. This guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
yeah, but Dave, he accosted James Taylor in a subway station, and he's telling him that he's trying to get in touch with Lennon. Like, how does James Taylor not go to the police and report this? Like, say there's this
Absolutely.
whack job that's he pinned me up against the wall. He's saying crazy shit about Lennon. Like that's
Although
what
that was during the turbulent time period of the 60s and oh no,
no,
that was 80. That was
this is
1980.
this is 1980. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. That's what I don't get. Like nobody, and he goes to Hawaii. He shows his wife the gun and bullets and said, "This is what I'm going to use to kill Lennon." How does his wife not inform anyone? Now, I mean, I get it. I had asked you about the Tyler Robinson thing. If your son committed murder, would you turn him in? And you and Frank both took the fifth on that. But I mean, I get like, I get that, you know, with your wife, you know, your wife's probably not going to turn you in.
Well,
so what?
Yeah. Well, especially since you haven't done it, I would consider bringing him to an institution.
Yeah, you get him. You get him help. Yeah, I get that. So this is what happened around 5 p.m. Lennon and Yoko were leaving the apartment for a recording session, and as they walked towards their limo, Chapman, without saying a word, held out a copy of Lennon's album Double Fantasy, 1980. I believe for Lennon to sign. I believe that's the one he recorded with Yoko. And this is even stranger. Amateur photographer Paul Gorish was standing nearby and took a picture as Lennon signed the album. Chapman said in an interview that he tried to get Gorish to stay, and he asked another loitering Lennon fan, Jude Stein, to go on a date with him that night. Chapman suggested, now how about this? Chapman suggested that he would not have murdered Lennon if Stein had accepted his invitation or Gorish had stayed. But he did say he would have returned the following day to kill him. So around 11 o'clock, Lennon and Yoko Ono returned after the recording session. Yoko got out first, walked right past Chapman, didn't notice him, didn't say a word, and walked towards the entrance of the building. Lennon exited the limousine, walked past them again, didn't notice him, didn't say a word. From the sidewalk behind them, Chapman fired 5 hollow point bullets from a .38 revolver. 4 hit Lennon in the back and the shoulder. One newspaper reported Chapman called out Mr. Lennon and dropped into a combat stance before firing. And then this, you know, when you say cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So after this happened, Chapman stayed at the scene following the shooting and opened The Catcher in the Rye and started reading it. The New York City police officers arrived and arrested him without incident. The officers recognized that Lennon's wounds were severe and decided not to wait for an ambulance. They rushed him to the hospital in the squad car. He was DOA on arrival. So that is what's sad. And Chapman told police, I'm sure the big part of me is in Holden. I'm sure the big part of me is Holden Caulfield, who was the main person in the book. The small part of me must be the devil. So Chapman was charged with second-degree murder, the most serious murder charge in New York State, for killing a non-law officer. He gave a full confession to police that he used hollow point He used hollow point bullets to ensure Lennon's death. Chapman's wife had known of her husband's preparations for killing Lennon, but took no action because Chapman did not follow through at the time, so she didn't face any charges. Chapman, now how about this? Chapman had a deep-seated resentment towards his wife that she didn't go to somebody, even the police, and say, look, my husband's bought a gun and he says he's going to kill John Lennon. And I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like if I came to you and I said, Dave, I bought a gun, I'm going to go shoot Mamdani. Like, I mean, if I was serious, I think you would call people and,
Yes.
try to stop it or alert them. That's what's crazy. So he was evaluated by a dozen psychologists and psychiatrists 6 months prior to his trial, 3 for the prosecution, 6 for the defense, and several more on behalf of the court. And they conducted a battery of standard diagnostic procedures and more than 200 hours of clinical interviews. All 6 defense experts concluded that Chapman was psychotic. 5 diagnosed paranoid schizophrenia, while the 6 psychiatrists said that he was manic, exhibited more manic depression. The court-appointed experts concurred that he was delusional yet competent to stand trial in the examinations. Chapman was more cooperative with the prosecution's mental health experts than those for the defense. One psychiatrist said that he did not wish to be considered crazy and persuaded defense experts that declared him insane only because they were hired to do so. So he also had the pastor of his church in Decatur visit him, and the pastor even said, I believe there was a demonic power at work. Chapman initially embraced his old religion with new fever as a result of Presbyterian thing, but McGowan revealed information to the press that Chapman told him in confidence, so Chapman disavowed his renewed interest in this was Christianity, and reverted to his initial explanation that he killed Lennon to promote the reading of The Catcher in the Rye. The man killed John Lennon to promote people to read The Catcher in the Rye. Wow. So the other issue was his court-appointed lawyer had to withdraw from the case because there were threats against him, death threats and threats of lynching. Police feared that Lennon's fans might storm the hospital, so they transferred Chapman to Rikers Island for his personal safety. His new lawyer, this is even crazier, his new lawyer instructed him to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. So in February, Chapman sent a handwritten letter to the New York Times urging everyone to read The Catcher in the Rye, calling it an extraordinary book that holds many answers. The defense team sought to establish witnesses as to Chapman's mental state at the time of the killing. However, Chapman told his attorney that he wanted to drop the insanity defense and plead guilty. The attorney objected with serious questions because, his oath and his objectivity and you got to file legalese. He really felt Chapman's sanity was at stake and legally challenged his competence to even make decisions pursuant to the hearing. Chapman said in open court, God told me to plead guilty. and that he would never change his plea or ever appeal, regardless of his sentence. And the lawyer, again, told the court he opposed Chapman's change of plea, but Chapman would not listen to him. The judge, I believe he erred in doing this, but he refused to any further assessments. He said Chapman has made his decision, and he made it in his own free will, and declared him competent to stand trial. So there wasn't a trial because he pled guilty. The sentencing hearing took place August 24th, 1981. 2 experts gave evidence on Chapman's behalf. Judge Edwards interrupted a research psychiatrist, Dorothy Lewis, who was actually like world-renowned, who was experienced. She was relatively inexperienced in the courtroom at the time, indicating that the purpose of the hearing was determining the sentence. There was no question of Chapman's guilt and criminal responsibility. Dorothy Lewis maintained that Chapman's decision to change his plea did not appear reasonable or explicable, and she implied that the judge did not want to allow an independent competency assessment. The DA argued Chapman committed the murder as an easy venture to acquire fame, and Chapman was asked if he had anything to say. And how about this? When he was asked if he had anything to say, he read a passage from the Catcher in the Rye. This is what he read. I keep picturing all these little kids playing some game in this big field of rye and all, thousands of little kids, and nobody's around, nobody big, I mean, except me. I'm standing on the edge of some crazy cliff. What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. I mean, if they're running and they don't look where they're going, I have to come out from somewhere to catch them. That's all I do all day. I just be the catcher in the rye and all. So the judge ordered psychiatric treatment during his incarceration, sentenced him to 20 years to life, 5 less than the maximum sentence. So, he was in Attica in 1981, outside of Buffalo. He fasted for 26 days. So in February of 1982, the New York State Supreme Court authorized he had to be force-fed. Do you know what that is, Dave?
He had to be forced what? I'm sorry.
The New York State Supreme Court voted that he had to be force-fed. Do you know what that is?
Force-fed. Oh, yeah.
Do you know what that's like?
Intravenously, I guess?
No, they stick that thing up your nose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They stick their thing up their nose. It's just crazy.
And his food?
Yeah, they put it up your nose and it goes down. So it's just unbelievable how it happens.
Oh, can't they just give
So
him
yeah,
electrolytes?
he was yeah, it was just unbelievable.
That is incredible. The whole he's a true cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
No, he is. So Chapman, he was a model prisoner. He became a legal clerk and a kitchen helper.
How long ago did he die?
He's not dead. He's alive. He's only 70 years old. He was so young when all this happened. I'm pretty sure he got released. Okay, no, he did not. I thought he got released. Oh, he was denied. Okay. I'm thinking of Reagan's guy got released. So Hinckley got released. Chapman, he's had 14 parole hearings. His last parole hearing was this year, August 27th, and it was denied. He, in 2022, he admitted he knew he did what was wrong, but wanted fame too much, and that he wanted to be a somebody, and nothing was going to stop that. The board denied him parole, citing his selfish disregard for human and global consequence. They added, the worldwide impact of your crime resonates to this day, such to invoke images, memories, and emotions internationally, leading the panel to concur that your release at this time would be incompatible with the welfare of society. So, in my opinion, I think he should be released because it's been 40 years, and the prison system is just overrun. I do believe he should be released.
Do you think he won't do it again?
No, I don't think he'll do it again. I don't think he'll do it again. I just think that it's absurd that he is he's continued to be there, and it's just way too much. I just don't see him as a danger to society.
Right.
And I think that prisons are overcrowded, and it's just too much. It's just way too much.
Well, you're a bleeding heart.
No, I'm not a bleeding. David's 40 years. He's 70 years old.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? I mean, that's my thing. It's been 40 years. What's he gonna do? So I just think it's a burden on the taxpayers, and I don't really believe that it's necessary at this point. I mean, do you?
I'm not sure. I think that maybe he should be in there for life. I think he should be in there for life.
And then they should have given him the death penalty.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Then give him the death penalty. But when you're doing this, I don't get it. I do not get it.
Yeah, it's a crazy case. I think it is crazy. It is crazy. It's a straightforward case with a complete crazy person. You don't have to worry about conspiracies because he's crazy. So
no, but it's amazing that it's all based on the Catcher in the Rye. I mean, that's what blows my mind the most.
Yeah,
is he got obsessed with the Catcher in the Rye. He had a very, very strict upbringing in life, which obviously caused a lot of this. And it's just wow to me. There were so many people that could have stopped this that didn't, between his wife, between people in his church, where when Imagine was played, he said, well, imagine if John Lennon was dead, and was serious. I don't get it. I don't get it. This could have been prevented. And I mean, the man literally sat outside of John Lennon's apartment for hours. He got his autograph. Someone photographed it. Him getting the autograph. He waited for him to come back. And then he just takes him out. I mean, is there anything crazier than that?
No.
No, there isn't. There isn't at all. But that's it's sad. It's really sad. So, but it was a great it was a great story. I mean,
imagine all the people.
It is a great story. I mean, not a great story. It is a fascinating case. Absolutely fascinating. Because whether he did it because of reality, the fame, I just I don't believe that. I don't understand how somebody could be that obsessed with Catcher in the Rye. That's what gets me. That's really what gets me.
There are books, Harry Potter people are obsessed with.
Have you read? You haven't read Catcher in the Rye, though, right?
No, I haven't. I have not.
So yeah, so that was it.
I'm gonna have not on that one.
I was just curious tonight if you're available. I wanted to have you just if you are, I wanted you to jump on the Trench Mob show just to see some of the kids and get your evaluations. I know you're probably bored and tired and probably don't want to come on.
Tired at that point.
Well, if you just want to come on for 10 minutes or so and just see a couple kids, that's all I would ask.
What time?
We start at 8.
Maybe I could do that.
I just want you to see it, just see what you think, because it draws really well.
I don't get home till almost 9 though, so I'm not sure. But
oh, okay. If you're not home, you're not home. I mean, Julius does a good job sending it out, and we get a good viewership for it. So that's all I was thinking about. But great pod. It was very interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. Very interesting case. Very interesting individual. But all right, well, we will see you next time.
Yeah, we will, and then Friday we got Joe D. We have nothing tomorrow, and we're good to go. And your game is Saturday, correct?
Sunday.
Okay.
And when life gives you lemons.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was too obsessed with the case. Yeah. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, and I guess read Catcher in the Rye.